Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Drink with Your Shrink. We're in May of 2025. Who can believe that? Like, isn't that crazy that we're already just rushing through this year, it seems like. So, welcome. We are meeting the first Monday of every month. I think that seems to work for a lot of people. And even for the people that it doesn't work for, these are always recorded. So if you don't get to attend live, you can always watch the replay. And every time I think about not doing this, or I wonder if it's even helpful for people, I get a lot of positive feedback. So please remember that I do always appreciate your encouragement and your kind words, and never forget how much our words matter to people, especially in these days and times. We all need to hear such positive words. I'm all by myself tonight. I don't have my normal moderators helping me. So if there's questions in the group, uh, don't be afraid to just jump right in, interrupt me, raise your hand to get my attention, because I don't really have anybody here tonight helping me like I normally do with the moderators and making sure everybody gets admitted as they're coming in. So as always, I will go over some housekeeping things before we jump in and we'll get started. You may see somebody in here that you know, and that's okay. What we discuss in here stays in here. We're going to respect everyone's confidentiality, and you want them to respect your confidentiality, and we're going to respect everybody's confidentiality and privacy. We're not here to judge others. And this is not like a typical place where everyone says, mute yourself, turn your cameras off. This can be much more interactive if you want it to be. If you want to be engaged and interactive and you want to join in the conversation, then turn your camera on or not, but definitely unmute yourselves and join in, chime in, ask questions. You don't have to have your camera on, whatever is comfortable for you. So just remember my disclaimer, and I say this every time, and it goes in every email that I send out. If you are drinking alcohol, please drink responsibly. No one affiliated with Drink with Your Shrink is responsible for anything that you do during or after tonight's event as a result of drinking alcohol. So please make sure that you all are aware that if you're drinking alcohol, drink responsibly. I'm drinking what I always drink, a big old jug of water. And it's getting hot here in Florida, so the humidity's kicking up, the heat's kicking up, and we all have to stay hydrated. So just make sure if you're drinking alcohol that you're doing so responsibly. We always are here, we're discussing serious topics, and sometimes they're heavy and sometimes they're hard. I also want to remind you, we're also here to have fun. We want to relax, we want to enjoy ourselves, we want to have our favorite drink, our favorite beverage. We're having meaningful conversations. This is where mental health and wellness come together with our drink, whether it's coffee or tea or something stronger. I started this 1 year ago this month. So May of 2024, I started this as just a way to build community and build a way to embrace that therapeutic power of conversation. And so this is a way to have self-care, positivity. It's on the journey of having a balanced life. So cheers to you. Cheers to your mental health. Cheers to joining in if you're joining in live or if you're watching the replay. Welcome and cheers to you. So thank you for all that are here. For those of you that joined in a few minutes late, you can unmute yourself and join in at any point that you want to. So tonight we're talking about physical space around us and what that does to our mental health. And it sounds simple and it might even sound a little weird. And you might wonder, is it even connected or how is it connected? The research shows that our physical space around us affects our mental health. There really is that connection. Clutter increases stress. And I think we could agree that we all have enough stress and we could use some stress relief. If you've ever watched an episode of Hoarders, you probably feel a lot better about the amount of clutter that you have around you. We also know that people that we see on the show, like Hoarders or something similar, maybe not to that level or to that degree, we know that that is just a symptom of a deeper issue. And that deeper issue is usually some level of an anxiety disorder or severe depression, maybe some combination. But we know that in those situations, we've got a cycle. We've got their physical space around them is worsening their mental health, and their worsening mental health is preventing them from improving their physical space around them. So it becomes a cycle, and sometimes people get to the point where they have to have help. They have to have people come in and help them, and sometimes it's really hard to just watch their stuff being thrown away. And a lot of times in those shows like Hoarders, it's not just stuff, it's trash. And I'm not talking about trash tonight. I'm talking about the decluttering, the extra stacks of mail, or the stacks of dishes that didn't get put away, or maybe especially as women, we have all kinds of sizes in our closet. We've got sizes when we were smaller, we've got sizes when we were bigger, we've got multiple sets of clothes in our closet. So, what we're talking about tonight is the clutter and how to declutter and improve the mental space around us so that we can decrease our stress, decrease our clutter, and just have a better stress-free environment physically and mental wellness as well. So when we have that cluttered, chaotic environment, it can overwhelm our senses. We see too much. Sometimes we feel too much. If you've ever walked into a cluttered room or even a store, an antique store where things are just like all around you, and some of those things are beautiful to look at, but it can be very overwhelming. Even an amusement park where you're taking in all the senses, your physical space around you, if it's very overwhelming, it can lead to a lot of anxiety and it can affect your ability to focus. And this disorganization can make it very difficult to relax and feel like you're in control of whatever it is you're doing. If you're working, if you're gardening, if you're taking care of your children or your grandchildren, your physical space around you being cluttered and disorganized can definitely make you feel like you're not in control. And when I say not in control, I don't mean in control in a bad way, but you're no longer in charge of your space and your life. And sometimes we feel like our feelings have charge over us, and this is a way for us to take back control or take back charge of our feelings, our emotions, our thoughts. So reducing our clutter can create a more physically inviting environment, and it reduces our stress levels. It also makes us more productive. A tidy, neater space promotes an ability to focus better, and we can be more efficient in our daily tasks. You know, a lot of us work from home now, and there's not always that separation from work to home or home to work. You know, I can be at my desk, I can run and do a load of laundry or start it and come back. And at the end of the day, I really want to like tidy up my desk and make it as neat and clean as possible so that when I come in the morning, everything is nice, neat. It looks appealing, and it makes me feel like I'm going to have a more productive day versus if I walk in and I've got papers scattered everywhere and my notebook that I always have this little notebook in front of me that kind of organizes me for the day. I always have everything nice, neat, and tidy so that when I start the day, I'm starting with kind of like that fresh, clean slate. So having that tidy, organized space can uplift our mood. It can enhance our mental clarity, and it can even improve our sleep, especially if we're sleeping in an area like our bedroom where we've got less clutter. I go to a lot of estate sales, and usually these are people who, an older couple maybe, where they've passed away or they've moved into an assisted living home or they've just decided to downsize their home and they're going to move to a smaller home, and they just sell everything in their home, and people come in and we walk through, and you can really tell a lot about the way someone lived with how they kept their home, because I go into homes that are just organized and neat and clean and very methodical with the way they kept their things. And then we go into other homes where it's just overwhelming and there's so much stuff that you wonder, how did they go about their day with all that stuff surrounding them? So when we keep a cleaner physical space, it gives us a sense of accomplishment. And we all know that having that sense of accomplishment can give us just a little boost of self-esteem and a sense that we're taking good care of ourselves when we're taking care of that space around us. So how do we do it? We just talked about the why. Let's talk about the how, because it can be very overwhelming. You know, if you've been living in your house for any length of time, you may have accumulated a lot of stuff, maybe 5, 10, 20, 30 years worth of stuff. And how are you going to declutter it? And we have to remember, we're not going to declutter it all at one time. We're not going to declutter it in a day. We're going to declutter it in little bitty bits at a time. You know, there's an old saying, how do you eat an elephant? Well, it's one bite at a time. And that's how you do it. You begin with one area of your home at a time. What I like to do is divide your house into different zones. And if you ever look at a calendar, you'll see that most every month has 5 weeks in the month. So usually there's 3 weeks that are 3 full weeks. And then the other 2 weeks are like a few days of that week are a part of a month. So divide your home into 5 zones. And of course, the bigger areas are going to be in those 3 weeks that we have full 7 days. So maybe your living room, maybe your kitchen, maybe your master bedroom and bathroom, maybe those 3 big areas. Maybe it's the garage, maybe it's an outdoor living space. Take your smaller areas like the laundry room or a guest room, rooms that you don't use very often, and put those in the zones at the beginning of the month or the end of the month where there's only a few days of the week in that particular month. So divide your home into 5 zones so that every month you're spending a little bit of time decluttering something. Some part of your home gets a little bit of decluttering at some part of every month. And there's a method that I learned probably 20, 25 years ago, and I've been using it ever since. And I actually just heard about a year ago, it's got a fancy name. It's called the Pomodoro method. It originated in the 80s. This is a time management method, and this is what you do. No matter what the task is, if you're cleaning out a closet, a drawer, if you're decluttering something or cleaning the kitchen, whatever it is, you're going to set a timer for, this is the way I do it. It's a little bit different than the official Pomodoro method, but you're going to set a timer for 15 minutes. We can do anything for 15 minutes. We can clean out a closet, we can clean out a drawer, we can go through a section of a closet. We can do anything for 15 minutes. At the end of that 15 minutes, you give yourself permission to stop. And if you really want to stop, you can stop. At the end of the 15 minutes, though, a lot of times what happens is now you've got some motivation. You've seen some progress. You've seen that you've got something accomplished and you want to keep going. So you've already done the hard part, and the hard part is getting started. So at the end of that 15 minutes, maybe you decide you're going to set the timer again for another 15 minutes. And then at the end of that 15 minutes, you can take a few seconds and reassess. Do I want to go again for 15 minutes, or do I want to give myself permission to stop? Because at this point, now you've done 30 minutes worth of whatever the task is. Maybe it's gardening, the closet, the cleaning out the car, whatever it is. Now you're 30 minutes in. So again, at this point, you're usually motivated. You see even more progress. You want to keep going. So set the timer again, do it a third time. At the end of this 15 minutes, you're 45 minutes into whatever task this was. And you'll probably be really surprised at how far and how much you got done in just 45 minutes. Where if you had just said, I'm going to work for 45 minutes, that just kind of might have felt yucky or overwhelming or like it was too much to take on or to tackle. But when you break it down into little 15-minute increments, it was very easy, especially when you give yourself permission to stop at the end of 15 minutes. Because again, you can do anything for 15 minutes. So at the end of that third 15-minute timer, you're going to then give yourself a break, 5 or 10 minutes, not too long, because we all know the trap. If you sit down, you might not ever get up again. So give yourself a 5 or 10-minute break, set your timer, and get a drink of water, call a friend, switch the laundry, do something that's not going to require you to sit down or get unmotivated or demotivated. And then you can decide, do I want to go back? I've done this for 45 minutes. Is this a task that I want to give another 15 minutes to? And you can just keep repeating that cycle until you decide you're done with it, or until it's over and it's finished, or until whenever. But this 15-minute rotation keeps working over and over and over. And why does it work? The reason it works is because it helps us maintain our focus. We've got that timer going. If you've ever watched little kids and you set the timer, they run around and they're like, oh, we got to beat the timer. It's almost like this internal game, this strategy of, I've got this competition and I got to beat this timer. So it helps us maintain that focus. It also gives us a sense of urgency without the anxiety, because we know that at the end of that 15 minutes, we can quit. We have given ourselves permission to stop if we want to. And that will set your mind at ease a lot of times. I've just got to do this for 15 minutes because it's only 15 minutes and I can do anything for 15 minutes. I've written a lot of books, and sometimes I have used this method to just work on my books when I know, like, oh, it's a book, it's overwhelming the whole time. I'm just going to set my timer for 15 minutes because, again, getting started is the hardest part. Another reason this method works so well is it breaks it down into little tiny manageable chunks. And it also ensures that we're taking those regular breaks, which will give us a moment to step away from the situation. And then we come back with more mental clarity, more ability to look at it from a different angle. Maybe we're not sure what to do. If you've ever been working on a task and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do here, and you walk away and come back, you see it with a fresh set of eyes. And this timer idea will give you that opportunity to step away for a few minutes and come back and then see things with a fresh set of eyes sometimes. Now, the official Pomodoro method is not the 15-minute method that I've been doing for over 20 years. It's a 25-minute timer. You set it for 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. You set it for 25 minutes and you take a 5-minute break. And you do that for, I think it recommends like up to four cycles, which would be 2 hours. To me, that's a little bit more overwhelming. I like my 15-minute chunks because you can do anything for 15 minutes. You ever think, oh, I should really go for a walk, I should get some exercise in, I don't want to? Put your shoes on and walk for 7 minutes, and then turn around and walk back home. And then you can decide, well, I've done this for 15 minutes. Do I want to go again? Do this for exercise, do this for writing books, do this for your closet, cleaning out your car. A lot of these tasks you'll find you might actually get finished in 15 minutes. You might get your car so cleaned out in 15 minutes that that's all it really needed. It seemed like such an overwhelming task, but 15 minutes sometimes is really all you need. And again, because you've got your home divided into these zones, if you're doing 15 minutes a day in every room or zone of your house, by the end of the month, if you add up all those 15 minutes, if you just do one cycle, just a 15 minutes in every room of your house for 30 days, then you've decluttered. I don't know what the math is. I'm not even going to try to do 15 times 30 and divided by 60 for the number of hours. Uh, but if you were to do 15 minutes a day in every section of your house, by the end of a month, you've made a lot of progress. And oh, let me check the chat real quick. I see I'll be popping in and out. Thank you, Alfred. It is breakfast time for you. Oh yeah, naps are my task killers. I took a nap today. I think the pollen and my allergies are really getting to me. So Lee said there's 184,000 seconds in a day. So yeah, there's a lot, that's a lot of seconds to break down. So
18,400.
thank you. I don't have my glasses on and I
I
couldn't do
can't
that.
do math.
So
You
thank
know me,
you.
I suck at math.
I
I would add something to that,
please do.
you're a writer, you get this, I've been a Hollywood screenwriter, I get this. There are times my ex-wife used to get on me about you're not writing. And what she meant was I wasn't typing. Because sometimes we're writing, but we're not typing, you
Yeah,
know? And there are times with client stuff where we're just kind of like, what do we do with that? But that doesn't mean that we're not thinking it through. That
right.
just means that we're not putting it on paper, you
Right.
know?
And sometimes when we walk away from a situation and focus on something else,
You
we
got
come
to.
back, we have a fresh set of thoughts or eyes or a fresh outlook on how to handle it. But
Got
for
to live
sure,
close to a beach.
yeah, easy distraction there. And naps, yes, I love. I today's the first day I took a nap in a very long time, and oh my gosh, it
Really?
was
Oh God, every day,
amazing.
man. With the
Yeah,
RA, I take a nap every day.
I think it's the pollen and my allergies. I was talking to someone the other day and I was like, like with a tissue, like, and she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry." And I was like, "I assure you, I'm not crying. I'm dead inside. I just have allergies, and the older I get, the worse these allergies come on me somehow." So yeah, it's just naps are great, but if you sit down for too long and you know you're going to fall asleep, then the productivity goes right out the window. So when we're decluttering, How do we do it? What do we do with this stuff that we're pulling out of a closet or a drawer or our cabinets? What do we do with it? And what I used to do when I would look at my clothes in the closet is I would say, do I want to get rid of this? And that made it really hard for me to say, yes, I want to get rid of something because I think we're designed to be attached to people and to things. And do I want to get rid of something just sounded to me kind of harsh. It was very hard for me to say yes, because what if? What if I need it? What if I want to wear it? What if an occasion comes up? What if I lose enough weight to squeeze back into it? What if? So I shifted just in the last few weeks, I shifted that question. Instead of, do I want to get rid of it? I've shifted it to, do I want to keep this? And for me, it's a lot easier to say, no, I don't want to keep this than it is to say, I want to get rid of it. Because if I don't want to keep it, I don't need to think about anything else. I don't want to keep it. And other people take all the hangers and their clothes on the hangers and they turn them the opposite direction on the hook. And at the end of a year, when they've been through all four seasons, if a hanger is still turned the other way, you haven't worn it, so you just donate it. And we can
So,
also look at when we're donating something, we're blessing someone else with something. We're not just getting rid of it, we're blessing someone else with something that maybe they could really benefit from.
but at the same time, yes, you are exactly correct. But the for me, we have three family weddings in October and one in November. So we're going to be flying a lot. But the thing that has occurred to me is not so much, is this going to bless anybody else, but am I going to feel comfortable and fully myself in this outfit? I get this blue suit that I bought like 7 years ago. I barely fit in it anymore, but I love the goddamn thing. So there's that version. Her stuff is great, and I dearly love it. But at the same time, there's that question about, okay, yes, is it, do I feel my heart, but will it serve me? You know?
Yeah. And if you feel like it will and you want to hold on to it, you can. I think the bottom line gets to we sometimes we have an attachment more to stuff and we
Oh yeah.
focus on that and then we feel that guilt for, am I getting rid of it? I look at it as I'm helping someone else. So as you're decluttering, as you're going through the closet, you're going to have three bins or baskets or buckets or bags, whatever. You're going to have something that you keep. You're going to have one for donations and you're going to have one for getting rid of or trash,
Yeah.
because some things are just trash. So you keep your donation bucket handy, and then most people, we drive around with it in our cars for weeks until we get rid of it or we drop it off at a donation site or what have you. I'm very fortunate. I have someone that comes to my house every other week to help me with some decluttering and some housekeeping things, and she takes it for me. So I just bag it up every day as I'm decluttering and cleaning, and every other week when she's here, she takes two, three, four bags, whatever it is that I have. So I'm constantly recycling. And because I go to estate sales, I'm always buying more stuff. And that's kind of my other rule. Like if I bring something in the house, then I have to take something out of the house,
One in, one out. Yep.
one in, one out, because otherwise I'm going to end up, or at least feel like I'm the next candidate for an episode of Hoarders.
My
And
my dad drove around with my aunt's ashes in his car for 3 years until he traded the car in. And he was like, oh shit, what's that box? It's like, oh, that's Aunt Laura. Whoops.
she was going places.
Ah, yeah, apparently.
She
Apparently.
was going places. So, and you know what? Sometimes we do need people to help. Like I just said, I have somebody that comes every other week and helps me. And sometimes we do just need to hire someone to help us. They don't have an emotional connection to our stuff like we do. They don't get distracted like we do by what's going on. in the long run, they do save us time and money by coming in and just focusing on whatever that task is at hand, whether it's changing the sheets or the toilets or decluttering or organizing or whatever. So sometimes we do have to hire someone to help us. Maybe we can't afford to hire someone. Maybe we trade that out with someone else, with a neighbor or a friend or a coworker. And because we can go into their house a lot of times and see, hey, I could organize this better, or I could help you clean this. We can do that better at someone else's home than we can do our own homes sometimes. So do a trade-off. Find someone that you trust, that you're comfortable with, that you guys could do a trade-off. So that's always a good idea. But pulling in that support, pulling in that help, because again, we need a sense of community. We need a sense of people helping us, and we want to be surrounded by people that we can have that sense of community with. So yeah, and sometimes when you move or you join houses with someone, you gotta get a lot of got to get rid of a lot of things. You got to downsize, you got to consolidate. You can post things in those free groups. When I was moving out of New York last year, we were consolidated. We already had a house full of stuff here, we had a house full of stuff there. We sold a few things, but mostly we just posted stuff on those free groups, and we had people coming by every day picking up stuff. And this one lovely couple that had just moved into a home there, they had nothing, but she worked at a box company. So every day she would bring me a new stack of boxes, and I would fill up the boxes with stuff we were packing and bringing here. And then I'd fill up the boxes with stuff that she could have for her. And so it ended up just being this wonderful connection that we made. Alfred said he has trouble getting rid of handwritten notes and printed matter from various seminars. The handwritten notes that I have from people, I can't toss those either. Cards that I've gotten through the years from my kids, like I have all of those that I keep, I hold on to. Every now and then I will go through them and look at them, and those warm my heart. And I don't consider that clutter or things that I would want to get rid of. So I definitely would say hold on to those. Um, but other things, seminar stuff, because we go to, at least I do, I go to a lot of seminars, and I'm like, what's useful, what's not useful, what do I want to keep? I think just a few days ago, I found something from a conference that I went to probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm like, if I haven't done anything with it by now, I'm probably not going to. It's obviously not a priority, or I don't have the time for it, or something. Something's not connecting here. So I'm going to have to just decide that now's not the right time for me to do this, and just get rid of it. And again, sometimes it's, do I want to get rid of it or do I want to keep it? And for me, it's easier to answer the question of do I want to keep it than it is to say, do I want to get rid of something? Because that to me just sounds a little harsh. So, like I said, when you divide your house up into zones, you have a routine, you do it a little bit at a time, because that's how we eat an elephant, one bite at a time. And another thing that I do, and this is the last tip that I'm going to share, is every night before I go to bed, I pick one room, maybe two rooms, sometimes three rooms, it doesn't matter. Um, and I do what I call a 5 minute, like a 5 minute room pickup. And I just set a timer, and I do 5 minutes for that room. So I pick up and put away for 5 minutes, or up to 5 minutes. Might be the bedroom, might be the kitchen, might be the living room. Even if I do all three rooms, it's only 15 minutes. And again, you can do anything for 15 minutes. So just pick up a few things and put them away, and put them where they go, or decide, here's a stack of mail. I'm going to flip through a couple of things real quick and decide I don't need these coupons for Kohl's, because I don't really need to go and buy anything, even though it is their 30% off and it's their Mother's Day special, and I'm a mother and I should deserve and I should treat myself and blah blah blah. I did that earlier today. I was decluttering and found a stack of mail and a stack of flyers from a fundraiser from last week, and I don't want to throw the fundraiser flyers away, because that's a lot of paper. At the same time, I don't need it because we're not doing, the fundraiser is over, it's past. But what I do with extra paper is I cut them into fours. So, and then I keep a stack of them over here so that I have a whole bunch of scrap paper when I need to make a note about something. And it's always right there handy. So I recycle the paper. So I have now probably 50 flyers that we ended up not using for this fundraiser that I will cut into fours, and they'll be little rectangles, and I'll put them over here next to me, and I'll have scrap paper for the next several months. So when I think of something and I need to jot it down real quick, then I end up with all these little papers all over the place
I like
with
that a lot. I'm
with
gonna,
notes on them.
yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
do that from here at the house. Yes,
Yeah.
perfect.
And I have gotten cute little notebooks, or not notebooks, but like little notepads, marketing pads that
Oh
I've
yeah,
gotten from different places. And I find that the paper that I create myself ends up being such a better fit for me because I can just pick up one piece of paper. It's not a sticky, it's not on a notepad. I don't have to tear it. But if I ever do run out of these, I do have the notepads. But I just keep all of that right there. This is very handy and helpful for me. So those are some of the tips and tools that I do that 5 minutes before I go to bed. I like clear counters and spaces. So I consider myself kind of a minimalist. I don't like a lot of clutter on the kitchen counters or any counter. I like to be able to walk in and see clear, clean spaces so that if I have my hands full and I want to put my stuff down, I've got somewhere to put it while I get myself in and settled, and then I can put it where it goes
I
as I
can't do
settle
that.
in.
Mary Lynn does, and I can't do it. You know me. I mean, you and I've known each other forever, and I just, God, I'm scared to death to throw anything away. But she will throw anything away in a split second. Retired teacher, get rid of the stuff.
Right, exactly. Some people have it in them and some people don't. And
I
I'm
don't.
married to someone who loves to keep everything. And
Yeah,
there are times that he'll come to me and ask, what happened to this or that? And I'll be like, I have no idea. I haven't seen it. No, and doggone well, what I did with it
you
was
tossed it.
trash it. I tossed it. Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. Absolutely. I tossed it. I'm like, you didn't need it. You weren't using it. You weren't going to need it. If you do need it, you can go replace it. So if it's a replaceable thing, like letters and cards and things like that, they're not replaceable. I don't,
I need to get you two together because you are like same weird person in a good way. I mean, in
in
a
a
good
good way.
way.
Yes,
But you know me.
absolutely. I'm
So
so glad you joined in. Is there anybody else that wants to share anything?
Alfred,
Hi, am I
Alfred,
being
it's
heard?
Alfred is way across the pond. It's breakfast time where he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think both my brother and I sort of acquired our hoarding habit from Dad. He used to hang on to things, and with the idea that this little piece of wood might come in handy for something. So there's a bit of a maybe partly hereditary, partly learned, and partly acquired aspect to our habit, if you want to put it that way. And it's kind of hard to break.
It is. It can be for sure. That's why we do just little chunks at a time, things that you're comfortable with saying goodbye to, things that you're comfortable saying, I don't want to keep it.
Yeah,
And especially in this day and age where it's pretty easy to get your hands on stuff like at estate sales or garage sales or Goodwill or things like that. I saw a meme yesterday that said, like, breaking news. A man finally found a use for that piece of wood he had in his garage from 1997. It's like, that's so perfect for tonight. So,
yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
because
Yeah,
the chance
I'm
of
that guy.
actually
I get it.
using
Oh my
it.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, the chance of actually using all the things that you hold on to and save, like what are the chances? So,
But with me, it's a lot of catalogs and notes and printed matter from seminars that I've gone to, especially like alternative medicine seminars, like herbals and homeopathic stuff. And to me, that's knowledge, and it's very hard to get rid of knowledge.
very true. Very true. So if that's something that is important to you to hold on to, then don't pressure yourself to declutter that or to get rid of that or to bless other people with that. Find other things that is more comfortable for you to say
Yeah,
goodbye to and focus on those areas. Don't
yeah.
force yourself to do something that you're not comfortable with.
Well, I just got the idea while this seminar was going on. Actually, I think I got it a bit earlier today. The idea to go through my old photographs and get rid of some that I don't need.
That's a good idea. Yeah, because we're of the age of like printed photographs, not everything we have is digital. I have boxes of printed photographs. So that's a great place to start for sure.
It's a very minuscule space, though, that's taking. It's not not a big volume.
That's okay. You know what? It's a start because how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's a start. And that's always the hardest part is just getting started.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Is there anyone else that would like to share anything? Or are there any ideas that you want us to talk about? I was thinking about narcissism and talking about narcissistic people and relationships. I thought that might be a fun topic to talk about next time or maybe a session coming up because that's one of those things I hear that every single day. Somebody says to me, I'm married to a narcissist or I'm trying to get divorced from a narcissist. And I hear it every day. So I thought that might be an interesting topic to bring up. Anybody have any other ideas?
It might be interesting to deal with how we deal because I work in a high school now and I've got 3,300 kids, pictures.
Yeah.
God. But there's so much societal anxiety out there. How do you deal with I work with military kids primarily, but how do you deal with your anxiety, your friend's anxiety, your parents' anxiety, your grandparents' anxiety? It'd be really interesting to cover how you adapt the basic anxiety stuff to multiple age groups,
Right. Yeah,
because
that's a great topic.
it's tough.
And helping people understand the difference between stress and anxiety.
Oh God, yes.
Because I get
Yes.
that so much. People get stress and anxiety confused, and I break it down and explain the difference. It's
Yeah, one
almost
is systemic,
fashionable,
one is reactionary, and which is
right?
which.
Right. And it's almost fashionable now to have anxiety. It's
Oh
almost like
dear God, yes.
cool. If you
I
don't
work
have
with
anxiety,
teenagers.
there's
I know this.
exactly. Exactly. It's almost like if you don't have anxiety, there's something wrong with you now.
Yes. And
So,
anxiety and flannel pajama pants, which I cannot get my head around, but apparently Old Navy decided to call them leisure wear.
nice. A reframing, classic reframing.
So, but no,
Yeah,
I think that's a big deal. It's like we're working up the chain. We're working with the kids, and then how did they work with mom and dad? And especially with my kids, if one's deployed, one's not, okay, how do we work with that? And then we go to the grandparents. How the hell did we work with that?
right.
And we're in we are in high-end testing gear right now. I mean, we're the top performing high school in Tampa, but we got ACE, we got AP, we got all that shit happening right now, and it's all happening. The parents are all just kind of like, it
Right.
makes Duval look like, no, this is easy.
Right. And is it stress or anxiety? And
Yeah, I know.
yeah. Well, thank you
and
all so.
and where is that? I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you,
You're
but
fine. Go ahead.
where does that sine wave cross?
Yeah. And what are our
You know
children
what I mean?
learning from the parents that is perpetuating the problem and not focused on a solution?
Or where do
So,
they not getting from the parents?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do not envy you. I do not like working with children, do not like working with adolescents. I definitely don't like working with those parents. So
On the
I'm gonna,
plus side, we don't do documentation.
oh, that is definitely a nice
So,
trade-off.
that's like totally my,
Definitely a nice trade-off. Yeah, for
no,
sure.
I'm good. But
All right,
no,
thank you all so much for joining in. We're going to meet again next month. Let's see what that date is. That's going to be June the 2nd. That's going to be our Monday meeting next month. Thank you all for joining me. I'll send out an email, decide what our topic's going to be, and you guys all have a good night. Maslow's let
I
me
will
know
be
it's
in the
dinner time.
Caribbean and I will miss you all. So
I'll be getting right back from a cruise right when we meet next time. So,
exactly. All right, guys. Thank you.
all right, have a good night.
See ya.